Well, hello there, my friends. My name is Jonathan Rasberry, and I welcome you to another Raspberry Chess video. Today, we're going to be looking at a new topic that I haven't been looking at too much here. We're going to be checking out tactics. In this new series, it's just going to be a bunch of random videos where I just show tactics that occurred in real games, whether they be my games, whether they be just games that I've seen, found online, Grandmaster games even, show large tactics, maybe even some of the games that my friends play. I want to show you these because you will see how tactics can arise in real games as opposed to just like seeing them in a tactics trainer type of thing. And you get to see how it comes about, you get the feeling a little bit better when a tactical move is made. And I've noticed in the last tournament I played at this past weekend that I spotted tactics a lot more effectively. And this is one of the reasons why, is because I started seeing patterns. And so I just wanted to show you one of them from this weekend that I found. This is a little bit lower level, but it's very common, and my 1940 rated opponent just completely missed it. So don't expect to, if you're an A player, that this is not useful for you anymore, because this is something you do need to keep in mind. It's a pretty cool tactic. So I am black, and what I'm going to do first is just go through the game. I'm not sure how to, let me see if I can flip. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so d4. Well, let's just go with the move order he chose. If your opponent doesn't play something that's standard with like knight f3 and c4, and you want to try to transpose into a d4 opening, just play your d4 defense, and generally they're forced to transpose right back into it. So we get to the standard Queen's Gambit declined Semislav structure. So I'm not going to talk about the moves any, because they're just standard theoretical moves. Bishop to d6 is not the most common move, but it's the move I chose to play. And my opponent chose e4 here. Now he's threatening e5, and I'm forced to play e5 myself. Now, of course, his d4 pawn is not defending his e5 pawn, so I'm allowed to take back without losing a piece. And I took, and he played f4. So now he's wanting to get my bishop back, hopefully to c7, and then play his e4. Whoa! Play e4. Play e4, and then kick my knight, hopefully, to a bad square. And then use this new open file for his bishop to attack my king, bring his queen out here, and then maybe even bring his rook up and over. So he's got a lot of potential counterplay. And I began to worry about this until I spotted this simple tactic. Okay, now the tactic is actually not as simple as you would think, but it is kind of simple, okay? It's kind of weird. It's a common tactic, but it doesn't often work in such open positions. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause your video. I'm back up here. Pause your video and see if you can find a tactic that A is a fork, B has mating threats, C has to do with an overloaded piece, and D has to do with a discovered attack. All four in one. Okay, so pause your video, see if you can find it. Alright, so I expect that you found this first move pretty darn easily. Just your impulsive d4 check. As she says, king to h1, and now knight g4, and I'm sure you got here. But I want to ask you this. What's my threat? Is my threat not f2? Well, pause your video and see if you can, if you haven't already spotted the secondary threat that I have, or actually it's primary. Knight f2 check is secondary. See if you can find my primary threat in this position. Basically, my primary threat is not to play knight f2. But if it was, let me just show you this, because he can defend my primary threat. If he defends my primary threat and just plays a normal move, my primary threat being what? Queen h4. That's right. So he could play queen e1. This is probably his best move. And I go knight f2 check, which looks like it sacrifices two pieces, but this queen all of a sudden is not defending the d3 square anymore. She's overloaded. She has to defend f2 and d3. And now, when I move my bishop, I have a discovered attack on this piece, and after queen takes f2, I get queen takes d3, and I have won in exchange. And this is about as good as he can hope for. He'll just move his bishop out, and I'll get my king castled, and he'll have a little bit of a developmental edge, but I am up exchange, and exchange is an exchange, no matter what you say. So that's probably his best move. But during the game, my opponent missed this. He chose e5. Of course, his point now is if I go, say, here, and now he'll bring his knight into this nice square right here and force my bishop to come back, and he's still got quite a bit of pressure. Well, I can't go there because my bishop is not a great position, but he has some pressure. Knight, of course, probably should come in on to d6. You don't want to take on c8 because that knight's really strong, and then he can try to bring his queen into the action now. So, that was his idea. If you haven't spotted it already, after queen h4, do you see my threat? Queen h4. Now I'm threatening mate on h2, but he can easily defend that with h3. Now what do? This is a very simple, very common tactic. The bishop is defending the g1 square. The king is on the back rank, or at least the side rank. And so, queen h3 threatens h2 mate. And after he takes, queen h4 is mate itself. So it's a really cool tactic. And so, just what I wanted to showcase with this tactic was, how a tactic can come out in a real game. Nothing told me back in this position, besides my intuition, that bishop d4 would lead to anything more than just a check. Of course, in a normal situation, if the king goes to h1 and I go here, queen e1 is, pretty good. Let's just say my queen is on c7. The bishop's not hanging. He's controlling the f2 square twice with 2 pieces. And so I gain nothing. And I have opened up his king. But his next move is going to be just to simply play h3, kick my knight back, and he is just fine. So when I play bishop to d4 check and then knight to g4, the move knight g4 came based solely on the fact that the bishop on d3 was hanging. And of course the mating threats as well. But hopefully with these videos I'll be able to show you a whole bunch